Welcome to U.S.S.R Selects. The whole system will be ready in a few minutes. Take your seat and enjoy.
What's going on, everyone? I believe that people have a story that is built on thousands of hows, whys, and whats. Join myself, Chris Sheeler, as I dive into how people live their lives, why they do what they do, and what goes on through their mind while they do it. If you love learning what makes people tick, the U.S.S.R Select podcast has you covered. Episodes every Monday on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcast.
Hello, and welcome to Facts Schmacts, the podcast good enough to get you a C.
Minus.
My name is Matt, and I've got a story to tell you.
And my name is Kev. I have a story to interrupt.
All right. Just to get started here, we have a little bit of housekeeping. We have an announcement. We've got a new show.
Tell us about it, Matt.
It's going to be called Facts Schmacts, and it's going to come out every Wednesday.
One more time.
Facts Schmacts.
One more time.
Facts Schmacts.
One more time.
Facts Schmacts, and it's going to come out.
You've done well.
I've passed. I spent all morning practicing that.
I can't even say it one time.
That's why I say things on this podcast. It's going to come out every Wednesday, and it's just going to be like a little less than 15-minute vignette, or small story, something that just wouldn't be big enough for a full episode. I think the first one we've done is 7 minutes or so. Just going to be a fun little story that otherwise wouldn't have a place, just as a little bonus there.
Yay.
Hey, bonus.
Yay, bonus. Everybody loves a little bonus.
Everybody loves a little bonus. It's something to look forward to or dread, depending on how you feel about that sort of thing.
Yeah. And, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had fun.
We have
fun. We have fun in this little thing we do.
I mean, if we didn't, what are we doing it for?
Right? So let's get started.
Okay.
Kevin, I'd love to know 2 facts and one schmacked.
Well, funny you mentioned that, is we have our old Facts Schmacts game, and I've got just that for you.
Oh my God.
So we're going to talk about something very near and dear to my heart today.
Okay.
Hot dogs.
Terrific.
Very, very near to my heart. Let's just say that. So Americans, fact or schmacked, Americans consume 150 million hot dogs on July 4th each year, which is enough to stretch from D.C. to L.A. 5 times.
Ooh. Now, if you catch me on some bullshit like they do, in fact, have that many, but that's not long enough to do that, I'm going to be so fucking angry at you.
Yeah, I can do whatever listen, I can do whatever I want.
I'm just going to establish that right off the hop that I'm going to... I need a new phrase fair. Other than off the hop. Off the top. Yeah, that would be a dick move.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to say, sure. Okay, I believe that there's at least 150 million hot dogs consumed.
Okay, so that's
half the Americans, but they're not all going to have a hot dog, but a lot of them are going to have 2. So yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So hot dogs, fact or schmacked, hot dogs originated in Britain and were a royal delicacy of a young Prince George.
Huh. Get me one of your hotting dogs.
Seventh, bring me a hot dog.
Sure, okay. I love it. Yeah, hotting dog, for sure.
Okay. Fact or schmacked, Mickey Mouse's first words on screen were hot dog.
Huh. Let's see. I think he does say hot dog, doesn't he? Hot dog.
Well, he does in the Mickey Mouse Club. That's like the hot dog, that's the theme song for the Mickey Mouse Club. If you've ever seen it. I don't know if that was before your son's time. My daughter watched it all the time.
MICKEYMOUSE, Mickey Mouse.
Well, that's the Mickey Mouse original song, but like the Mickey Mouse Club is like hot dog, hot diggity dog, do 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 do. It goes like that.
Oh,
yeah, it's different. But was it his first words?
okay. Was it his first words? So we got 150 million hot dogs consumed.
Yes,
It almost seems low for July. You said July 4th?
that's correct.
Okay. Read me your wording again.
Americans consume 150 million hot dogs on July 4th each year, which is enough to stretch from DC to LA 5 times.
DC to LA 5 times. 150. I mean, that's a lot of hot dogs. Sure, I believe that part of it. Okay, second fact. Hotting dog. Hottery doggery. Yeah.
Hot dogs originated in Britain and were a royal delicacy of young Prince George.
And then the third one was
Mickey Mouse's first words.
Okay, first one, totally believe. Absolutely, that's a fact. They sure love them hot dogs.
Okay.
Second one, hottery doggery. As much as I want to believe it's true, it just doesn't make sense. If anything, I would think it'd be like a German thing. It'd be like a sausage thing, but I don't know the origins of hot dogs.
I mean, the royal family was kind of had German origin. They were the Gauks, Sax. Oh, God damn it. Help me here. Before they became
Saxons?
the Windsors.
They were
Sax Gothica?
Saxons. Well, there was the
Sax
Or
Gothica.
Anglo-Saxon.
No, not Anglo-Saxon.
I don't know why you're talking about Saxon Goths or something.
The royal family at World War I changed their name because it was too Germanic. They changed it from it was Sax Gothica
Okay.
to the Windsors during World War I because it was too German. You didn't know that?
Did not know that.
Yeah, the British family is like look at Tsar Nicholas and we talked about that in the one episode. They're all cousins, right?
Yeah, from Queen Victoria. And I guess.
So the last name of the royal family was Sax Gothica, and then they changed it to Windsor to make it more British. So they could have had a hot dog thing.
They could have. I still don't think. I'm going to go with that one as the one that isn't true.
Yeah, I made it up.
And you hit me right where you knew it would.
But you know what? The funny thing is that one of the facts I looked up was that FDR actually fed, when he had the royals visit, one of the meals was hot dogs, and King George ate 2 hot dogs. I thought that was kind of funny. Like, hey, welcome to America.
Here's some hot dogs.
We got some hot dogs.
George W. fed Vladimir Putin hot dogs.
Oh, did he?
After 9/11. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's a little hot dog trivia for you.
Okay. Well, there we go. Hot dog.
Hot diggity.
I don't think we have any FSQA from.
I would like to make one little correction on myself here. At the end of the episode, listening back, I made a comment about a normal story is a man going home to his wife or something, and then listening back, it sounded like I was making a statement about like heteronormative and that's not what I was trying to do. Like what I was trying to say is like a happy story is just everything going to plan over the long term. In my mind, I wasn't trying to say that like there's only that's like the best type. I wasn't trying to pass any judgments.
I would really hope nobody thought that.
I didn't hear anything about it, but I listened back to it and I went, "Oh, you know what? That's not what I meant." But I can totally understand if somebody listened to that and thought that. So I'm just going to correct myself here and say like, no, that's not what I meant. I was just saying that like a person goes home to their partner or goes home alone if that's what they want to do. Whatever. Somebody's just happy and
No
things go
judgment.
to plan.
We
it's
make
what I
no
was-
judgments.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah.
It's funny when you
want
listen back on some of these, and sometimes you're like, why did I say that? Like, I do that all the time because I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I'll be like, you'll say something, and then like a minute later, I ask you, like, oh, this was a thing, and you're like, yeah, I just said that. But then when I listen back, I'm like, God, I'm so stupid. Like, how did I miss that?
I listen back to stuff and I forget to. I'm like, oh, I started a point and then just didn't add the little cherry on top that I had ready. So it's really a point. That's a problem with my notes going forward. My little musing today isn't real. It's more of a philosophical sort of thing, I guess. But in a lot of quack claims about science, or something that you'll hear a lot, is Einstein was wrong. Anytime somebody wants to sensationalize a claim, you'll hear something like that. Einstein's wrong. Quantum mechanics is wrong.
Sounds like clickbait for nerds.
Clickbait, yeah. But it's clickbait for people who are kind of into scam stuff. But I just wanted to, I guess, make a point about the way that science evolves. Like, when relativity hit the scene, that didn't really replace Newtonian mechanics. We still use like Newton's equations when we talk about orbits and stuff. You don't really need to use relativity until you start talking about things that are like as big as stars or going like really, really fast. So like Newton's laws of motion still basically rule the world we live in, which makes sense because they were derived to explain the world that we live in. It all makes sense in our terrestrial sphere. Relativity just expanded our sphere, and you can use relativity to actually derive Newton's equations. So Einstein didn't replace Newton. Newton didn't really replace Galileo in terms of like heliocentrism. He just expanded our knowledge of it. It's much in the way that it wouldn't make sense to, if something else comes along, which we're pretty sure they will, because we know that, special relativity and quantum mechanics, there's like a hard break between them. They just don't play well together. It's almost, and something's got to reconcile that. Like there's got to be some way to say, the world of little things and the world of big things are like kind of connected in some way. There's got to be some way to do
Like
that.
a world of middle things.
A world of middle things, yeah. Well, or just like some set of rules to say like, here's how all of this makes sense together. And that's, kind of the holy grail of physics right now, is looking for that. But once that comes along, people are still going to use relativity. Einstein's not going to be wrong. He's just going to be, less right than something else that comes along later. But all of his stuff is still going to explain. Quantum mechanics will still explain lasers when we've got a bigger theory than quantum mechanics, right?
Right.
That's just the point I'm trying to get. It's just anyone who starts something by saying something, like audacious like that, like Einstein was wrong. Well, no, he wasn't, because every time we tested, he's obviously right.
I saw a cool quote it was accredited to Einstein, and I'm just going to paraphrase, but it basically said, I'm not smarter than anybody. I just stay with problems longer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
It is. I mean, the things he had a lot of starting points. I'd love to do an episode about Einstein, but just like other misconceptions about Einstein is like he wasn't good at math. No, he was brilliant at math. Are you kidding?
I think the thing was that he failed like public school math or something.
Maybe once, but he had a really prestigious university career. He just didn't get tenure, so he started working at a patent office while he waited for something to open up. But like he was an academic while he was working in a patent office. He wasn't some schlub working in a patent office who had this crazy breakthrough. And he was standing on the shoulders of giants, just like people now and people before were. We knew we had a good idea about the speed of light, and we kind of knew that there was this weird thing that was happening with, time when you shifted reference frames. Einstein's just the guy who put it all together. And he had like really cool thought experiments that he used, like, the train thought experiment, where if you are, you take the perspective of two different people, one person standing still on the side of a train platform and one person who's on a train that's going past the platform. And just let's say this thing's happening at like half the speed of light and people can perceive things that are happening on that time scale. He thought about what would happen if lightning struck each end of the train, what each person would perceive. And he figured out that, the person who's standing still would see both bolts go at the same time, but the person who's on the train, because the train's moving, is going to see that the bolt at the front of the train hit first, and then the bolts at the back of the train hit, because the bolt at the front of the train has less distance to travel than the one at the back. And so he started thinking about who's right in that scenario, and he came up with the answer that they're both right. They're just,
it's just relative to the speed that you're traveling.
Yeah, and then he figured out like the actual mathematical equations that, kind of lead us to the conclusions that, space and time are, linked together and kind of conspire with each other to do certain things. And that's a whole other, can of worms right there. But
my head hurts.
Yeah, so we're going to move on from that. I didn't want to get into, but yeah, that's Einstein will be right was the point I was going to be making. Even when there's a grand theory of everything or whatever, Einstein's still going to be right. He's just not going to be as right as the next thing.
Okay. Yeah. He'll be more right than our podcast.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. More accurate.
Forever and ever and ever.
In a day.
So at the end of last episode, you dropped a gauntlet. You wanted a happy story.
Just one happy story.
Well, and about something being built, Kevin, it's a Christmas miracle.
Oh,
because I've got it.
Really?
I got it.
There's no death and pestilence.
Nothing. There's a lot of inconvenience.
Okay. Well, that's life.
That's life.
Sure.
Speaking of life, let's talk about life in West Virginia in, kind of the 30s to 60s. It was a coal area.
Okay. I'm feeling a lot of John Denver vibes.
Sure.
Is that West Virginia? Rocky Mountains? No? Yep. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I'm feeling very John Denver.
Take me home, country road.
Yeah.
To the place where I belong,
yeah.
Virginia.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, great song.
Yeah.
Love it.
Right.
Coal mining area. And there's a lot of little like coal, boom towns that pop up around coal deposits in the area. One such town is a place called Vulcan. Now, Vulcan is on the coast, I guess, or bank of the Big Tug, the Tug Fork, which kind of borders West Virginia and Kansas, Kentucky. Oh crap! I didn't write that down, and I'm not good at geography.
All right, let's take a guess.
Let's take a guess. I've got it actually right here. Drum roll.
Oh, you're looking it up. You're not guessing.
Oh no, I was just gonna. I think it is
Kentucky. My guess is Kentucky.
It is Kentucky.
Yes. What do I win?
It's actually between Kentucky and Virginia and West Virginia. It's kind of almost right there. You win nothing, my friend.
Okay.
But that's just kind of, that's where it is. In the 1960s, the coal industry in that area dried up, which was kind of a bummer. So this particular town went bust. Most of the population left. There was roughly 50 families that stayed in the area. Now, with all these boom towns, coming and going, sometimes things happen so fast that maybe you're planning to do something and you just never get around to it. But, maybe even word that you didn't get around to it doesn't even get to anybody, of importance. So the state, where I'm going with this is the state had a map, and that map had a road going into this town. But the Earth didn't have a road going into this town. there was a bridge that connected it with Kentucky, and there was a railroad that came in, through West Virginia. But there was no road in West Virginia that connected it to, like, let's say, the next town over.
Weird. Where did this bridge go?
This bridge went over the Tug Fork, so directly into Kentucky.
Okay.
And actually, like, kids who lived in this town, to get to their school bus, had to cross a pedestrian suspension like plank bridge, cross a rail yard, and then catch their bus.
Sounds very dangerous.
It does sound really dangerous. Yeah. Really, really dangerous. Now, the railroad had a road beside it, but it was like one lane and it wasn't maintained. The railroad would not let anybody use it.
It was just like a service road.
It's just, it's a rail service road. So in 1960, this town goes bust. Everybody but 50 families stay. There's no actual road that goes here. There's a suspension bridge, pedestrian suspension bridge that apparently people did occasionally drive cars across, that went across the big fork. Then rail service is pulled from the town because there's only 50 people there. So now they can't even take a railroad out of town. Kev, you know how where you live, you can leave it?
Yeah.
I would actually say that from where you're living, one of the best features is that you're able to drive out of town.
Oh, I can go anywhere. Yeah.
Anywhere from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
can be in a different country in 5 minutes.
You could.
It's fantastic.
Very specifically, you could be not where you are currently.
Absolutely.
Best feature. In Vulcan, you could not. The only way you could actually legally leave this town was by this pedestrian bridge. And this is in the 1960s in West Virginia. Think about that. That's really weird, man.
Yeah, it's very backwards, very kind of backwater.
Mm-hmm.
Time is forgotten about you kind of place.
Yeah. In 1975, the footbridge collapsed.
Oh, God.
And now this town where there's 50 families, I don't know exactly how many people, but 50 families live in there. There's no legal way in and out of this town. Literally, you cannot legally get, unless you forded the river, which apparently was fordable, but,
What do you mean just cross it?
Walk across. Yeah, just walk across it. Just wade across it.
Damn, dude.
Uh-huh. So into this vacuum of egress from the city, a man named John Robinette stepped in. He was a 42-year-old bartender and resident.
I'm getting some what's his name from Dirty Dancing? Patrick Swayze vibes, like some Roadhouse.
You going crazy for Swayze?
I'm getting some Roadhouse vibes. I'm envisioning a little Roadhouse action for this fella. That's just where my head went. Maybe you went somewhere else. I went
a Russell.
Russell. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I really feel like they're very similar people.
Yeah. Like totally Kurt Russell, long curly hair era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think we're on the same page.
Okay.
That'd be a tough casting choice. I wish we could hire them both.
For sure. We'd end up with Tom Selleck. We would just split it in the middle.
Or Chris Farley. See, what happened is a 74-year-old resident ordered some new furniture
off Amazon
and went off like a Sears delivery, truck.
Sears was the Amazon back in the day.
For sure. And the delivery truck got to, the point 2 miles away where you could no longer drive to the town unless you got on this rickety road, which apparently there's no margin for error. You've got the river on one side and the railroad on the other, and you've got a thumbtack's width on either side of your vehicle. So the delivery truck delivery truck, just refuses to go any further. So this lady can't get her furniture. And this John Robinette guy sees it and decides this has gone on
Roundhouse.
long enough. Yeah. So he's fixing up his roundhouse bar, and he decides it's gone on long enough. He's finished karate kicking somebody into a pipe. He's finished getting told that he used to get fucked or guys like him got fucked in prison by some other guy. Anyways, enough roadhousing around. The first thing he does, he writes to some state officials, and he's like, hey, we need to get a bridge here. Like, it would be really nice if we could legally leave our town, or a road or something. If you could just fix the bridge and maybe make it accessible to cars, that would be nice.
How are they getting groceries and stuff in?
I think they could still get maybe some stuff by rail. I'm actually not even sure how they were getting groceries at this point.
Just like airdropped?
Because this goes on for quite some time. Okay. I don't know how they must be They must just be straight up trespassing on the railroad line, driving down there, picking stuff up themselves and getting it back. I don't know. I didn't look into it. I'm gonna be honest with you. But the state officials, they refuse to spend money on this project because they think so few people are going to use it. So that's kind of like, it's bananas to think about. There's a town that has no legal way in and out of it, and state officials are like, well, that's too bad. It's your problem. We're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Yes. And over the course of the next several years, this guy Robinette keeps trying to, appeal to different people to get money to fix this bridge. He writes the Senate. We got this lady's furniture. We can't get it over the state. We got this lady's furniture. We can't get it over the bridge now. Help us out. Maybe writes to somebody else, maybe the federal government. Hey, we got somebody. They're got a fridge now. Can't get that over. It's writing back to the Senate. Somebody else they've ordered, or not the Senate, state. Somebody else they've ordered a MRI machine. Now we can't get that over. Just series of escalating. That's what I'm imagining anyway. Series of escalating objects that need to get brought across, forwarded across a river that they can't do. It gets to a point where they get a phone call with the governor, a guy named Arch Moore, and this Robinette guy is, yelling at him at the phone. We want this bridge built now. Now, nobody knows if he was actually on the phone with the governor. One of the residents was quoted as saying he could have been on the phone with the next room. Who knows? But made a big show.
He's just talking to the operator.
Yeah, just anybody who will listen. But he made a big show of saying that, we need to get this. We need to get this done by 1977. He's just at the end of his rope, right? As you would be. 2 years without legal ways in and out of your city, and apparently no rail service would have you pretty ticked. Maybe they're getting stuff by boat. I have no idea.
What's your property value there? Yeah, you probably couldn't give your head. Like, who wants to move into a town like that? I mean, I kind of do, but.
And would you still have liability if you just left? Like, I don't even know what you could do at that point.
Yeah, you're basically trapped there if you own a house.
Mm-hmm. So, frustrated with his state government for sure, he finally decides he's going to appeal to the highest authority that he could possibly imagine. Is it the
president?
Is it the president? No. Is it the UN? No. He writes a letter and requests. No, he writes a letter and requests aid from the foreign aid program of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
Really?
Yes.
That's fucking amazing.
He wrote actually 2 letters directly to Brezhnev. He never got an official response from the Russians.
I was hoping that they were like, yeah, we got you.
But he did do this. And word got out that he did this. It started, headlines across the country started, popping up about this self-appointed. He had appointed himself mayor of this town, self-appointed mayor who's appealed to the U.S.S.R. for foreign aid so that they can have legal access to his town. So this
that would have been amazing if Khrushchev or whatever was just like,
Brezhnev.
yes. That would have been great.
Now, while they didn't get an official response, it did get the attention of a New York-based Russian journalist named Iona Andronov. He got wind of the story, and he went to Vulcan to check things out. He obviously saw an opportunity to embarrass the Americans over this. He wrote for a publication that I'm going to butcher the name of.
Okay.
But it was called Literaturenava Gazeta, which is a weekly publication in Moscow. It's a Moscow-based publication. It's obviously communist propaganda, and he's going there specifically to embarrass the Americans. Headlines at this point, again, in the States are just spreading like crazy. U.S. town applies for Soviet aid. It's all over the place. In the U.S. Andronov gets to Vulcan, and two things happen. The first thing that happens to him is an angry resident approaches him and demands to know if he's a communist, which...
Man, they had such a problem with communists back then. Like, they hated the idea of it.
Oh, for sure. And he was. So he's like, well, yeah, I'm Russian.
Yeah.
Of course I am. I write for a Russian paper. I'm a journalist. Of course I'm communist. But the other thing that happened was just by sheer coincidence, I'm sure, it was announced that West Virginia had found some pocket change and they were going to put up some money to get a single lane bridge built to connect this town to civilization.
So it worked.
It did work.
Wow. Good for him.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
He made his play. But, the funny thing is, people didn't appreciate it. People in the town didn't appreciate it, and people in the rest of the states didn't appreciate it. And they especially didn't appreciate it in 1979 when the Russians invaded Afghanistan. This is in the Cold War, but maybe he did this in like a not super hot part of the Cold War. But then 2 years later, all of a sudden the Cold War flares up again. And the people in the town start getting bomb threats and death threats that they're going to blow up this bridge that was made with communist money, even though the Russians had nothing to do with the construction in any way.
Man. People are so crazy.
Oh, I know.
That's wild.
Yeah. That's after Red Scare, McCarthyism era. That's just, garden variety crazy. Directed at a bridge. People in the town were threatening to blow it up. And this is a mining town. They have, they could probably do that if they
There's
wanted
explosives
to.
all over.
Yeah, just.
Have you ever seen a mine? You ever been in a mine?
No.
It's. I find it really creepy.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be in mine at all.
Yeah, I worked at one for just as a contract, and they're like, I was like, oh, are we going in the mine? They're like, no, you're just gonna go in the basement. It was like a 7-minute elevator ride, which when you talk about elevator rides,
oh yeah,
that's
a minute
deep.
is torture.
Yeah, you just get down there and you're like, this is your idea of a basement. I hate everything about this right now. They're super
I don't think
creepy.
ideal.
But they also, when you were talking about explosives, they also do have they'd be like, oh yeah, if you see anything that looks like this, don't touch it. Cause it's undetonated ordnance. Because they're always blowing shit up. And you're just like, okay, great.
Super.
Yeah. The one mine I worked at killed 693 people in the last 100 years. So an average of 7 people a year for 100 years.
That's
yeah, and
terrible.
It was when I went there, they're like, yeah, we killed 3 guys got killed last year doing XYZ jobs. And I was like, cool, that's great. I'm going to go home now.
Yep. Well,
bye.
See you later.
Yeah, it's horrifying. It's miners are some tough folk.
Absolutely.
And they got explosives. Never fuck with them.
Never
ever
with miners.
So is that this? Is this the whole story?
Well, we're getting to the end here.
Oh, okay. I thought we were at the end.
No. But yeah, people got like pretty angry. They got so angry, in fact, that Robinette had to move 2 miles down the railroad, I guess, to a neighboring town to get away from his angry neighbors.
Why are they so like, dude, you brought the bridge.
He got the shit done.
Yeah, you got it done there. Roundhouse.
I'm sure he was right. I'm sure he didn't want, like, he wasn't looking specifically for Soviet money. He just wanted to give a big middle finger to the government that
he was just making a joke.
For sure. Nevertheless, though, in 1980, the bridge was finished, and there was a christening ceremony that had Robinette, some highway officials, and the Russian journalist. They had him there because he had helped get this project off the ground. And they had a vodka toast.
Oh my God. Now you're really just pissing people off, eh?
No, they christened this bridge with a vodka toast, and Anjanov said, which this was a pretty dangerous thing for a Russian journalist to say at the time. He said, "Let them fight over Afghanistan. We'll drink to the new bridge. When I go back to Moscow, there will be a part of me here in West Virginia over the tug fork." So there you go, Kevin. I gave you a nice story about something being built.
Yep, that's true. You did. Nobody died.
There was a hilarious middle finger to the government in the middle of it,
which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah, you gave me the happy story.
Yeah.
Well, it's Christmas, and we should.
Right.
We can go back to death now.
Also,
like, that's cool.
Kwanzaa and
Wow. Okay, you did it.
Yeah, I did it.
Challenge accepted.
I've actually, and you take our little fast fact episode there. I found 2 episodes this week.
True.
Or two topics this week that are pretty cheery, all tales told.
I mean, nobody died in either episode.
Nobody dies.
I will give you that.
Nobody dies.
Huh.
Yeah.
So next week we'll just be like doubling down and talking about something just horrible.
It's going to be like the Khans invading China or something.
Yeah, make up for today. All right. Well, that's our most friendly episode yet.
Probably a pretty quick one too. Just a fast little,
Yeah, it was. I think it was pretty quick looking at the timer here, but that's okay.
That's okay.
That's not bad. I got Kev's closing fact for you.
Let's hear it.
This is like our little hot dog bonus fact. What do you think the record for hot dogs is in a 10-minute time period? How many hot dogs do you think could be eaten in 10 minutes? Think about it. Just take a guess.
I'm struggling with not saying all of the terrible things that are going on.
Oh, dude, there's so many awful things I want to say.
Right?
I get it.
Okay, how many hot dogs could you eat in 10 minutes? Oh, man. Because I know I could eat like just straight wieners, or are we talking buns too?
Buns and all, buddy. It's like the full thing.
The full Monty?
Yeah.
Are we talking little buns? Little buns and little wieners, like Red Hots?
I would just assume like your standard hot dog and a bun.
Okay. Like a Red Hot and then like a Wonder Bread.
Just like not a foot long, maybe not a ballpark Frank. Just
not a juicy jumbo.
Not a juicy jumbo. Just your average run-of-the-mill hot dog.
Okay. Well, these are important things.
62. The answer is 62. You were taking way too long on that. 62 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
That's really impressive.
Which is also known as Saturday for me.
Oh.
And good night.
Good night.